Hello there, and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Portland. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen, and we've got round 4 action lined up for you here, as we've got Nathan Stoyer. Take a look at Nathan here. Nathan is 13 years old. He's got multiple GP top 32s on his resume. If you play in a lot of GPs, you'll actually recognize Nathan. He's a great kid, and he finds himself yet again in the feature match area. He's definitely a fan favorite. Speaking of fan favorites, Steve Rubin on the other side. Well, that guy's a PT champ right there. Number 7 in the world right now, and you can see that he's transgressing Nathan's mind here. And wow, look at that hand from Nathan. Very land light here. He's kept a hand with just 1 planes.
Yeah, on the play.
This is risky business.
Yeah, he's going to have to get lucky here.
And it looks like he's going to lose. Well, there's 4 choices there for Steve, really 3.
Yeah, and I mean, the Collected Company, obviously the most powerful card, but it costs 4. And at this point, Nathan's going to need to find 3 more lands before those Collected Companies are at all relevant. Whereas a card like Spell Queller, you know, could, like, if he goes land, then that can put Steve in a bit of an awkward spot. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him take Spell Queller here.
I got to tell you, this is going to be a tough one for Nathan, though. That was a very risky keep. Oh, he hit it, though.
Ooh.
Both of his other colors right off the top, though it is tapped. I got to say, if Nathan escapes this opener, he did. Wow. Have you ever heard of little kid luck?
I have heard of little kid luck.
Normally we don't talk about it with 13-year-olds, but geez, that was fortunate of him. Now, Steve Rubin has a lot of information at his disposal here. After having seen his hand, he knows every card in Nathan's hand at this point, and he's going to be able to, you know, manage the way that he plays this game accordingly, at least to the effect that he can.
I mean, he can. I mean, he'll essentially know every card in his opponent's hand for the rest of the game, based on the fact that he can just assume that it's the best possible draw step that could happen.
Yeah. So it looks like Nathan's going to go ahead and just, well, all right, there's a sequence here that happens where Nathan Spell Quellers a Traverse to Ulvenwald, but Steve Rubin, being prepared for it, grasps the Spell Queller after all that happens, gets his Traverse back, finds himself a swamp, and we'll see where he goes from here.
This still looks very good for Steve. I mean, there's nothing attacking him. He's the more controlling deck. He has his 4th land in play, and his life total is still 20. They're at card parity. I think Steve is pretty happy with his situation.
Okay. Yeah, and it's interesting to note here as well that Steve, you know, when he decided what to take away with the Transgress, he took Collected Company, which was a card, you know, that at least at the time Nathan may have been least likely to be able to cast, and he had a redundant copy of as well. But Steve knew, look, I'm the control player. This game's probably going to go for a while, right? I'm not going to be able to shut the door on this game super quick with my deck. And as a result, I want to make sure that if Nathan does find those lands, that I have the long game locked up. And that's easily Nathan's best. You know, if he just goes land, hangs around for a while, land, and he goes company, that's how Steve Rubin can actually lose this game. Smart stuff from Rubin, and in fact, that scenario has played itself out thus far, where Nathan did go land, and has now kept himself alive, and it's only a matter of time until he finds his 4th land and can fire off that first company. He would have had 2 of them.
Definitely the best card in his deck in just about every matchup.
Reflector Mage, of course, is going to send back the Tireless Tracker from last turn, and now Steve's going to get back on board with 2 plays here. He's got a Nissa and also a Sylvan Advocate.
That's a big Sylvan Advocate.
Nathan's funny. Did you see his mannerisms when he draws his card?
Yeah.
It's very dramatic.
I like how he passes the turn, too, with, like, the snap.
We'll watch out for that. In the meantime, Reflector Mage is going to get rowdy here. Take down Nissa before she can transform. And she was going to transform this turn with the land drop from Rubin. Unfortunately, no attack there possible from Stoyer, as the Sylvan Advocate's already a 4/5, and in fact is going to attack and knock him down to 16. Okay, Tireless Tracker. But wait, there's more. Another Nissa. I'm assuming that's another Nissa anyway. Yeah, all right. So
Nissa making a big advantage here.
Wow. A Clue and a Planeswalker?
Yeah, and the Planeswalker gets to get another card right away. And
Goodness.
Nissa picked up another card by getting a Forest out of his deck. Just getting so far ahead on cards here, Steve Rubin is.
Wow. What a great sequence for Rubin. What a great way to spend turn 7.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just a delight. This is the type of turn that you really... This is why we play Magic.
And now he finds a Liliana and a Traverse. Wow, he is just going off here.
And I believe he has Delirium now, so... He gets to find a creature.
Take a look at Traverse Ulvenwald. Yeah, he can get a creature or any land he wants. No. Traverse goes from getting a basic land
Looks like he
to getting
chose
any land or a creature.
Ishkanah, Graph Widow.
Your daughter's favorite card?
Absolutely. So many legs.
Hard to blame her, too. What a great card.
Right? Oh, my goodness. It's so good.
You saw this card be quite annoying for these Bant Company decks at the Pro Tour. Specifically when you have Delirium. You know, if you play it on its own, it's really quite unexciting. But, man, when you run that thing out with Delirium, it's just they're just looking at it like, okay, I guess I'll Reflector Mage a token. Like, ugh. One interesting thing about Ishkanah as well is that I have yet to see in the feature match area Ishkanah get activated. Yeah.
We haven't seen it once?
Look, I'm saying I haven't seen it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe this weekend's the weekend.
Ooh. Well.
Yeah, he knew this was coming. Stoyer just decided that he wanted to force this issue. He decided to block, even though he knew that Steve had a Liliana because he saw it off of that activation from Nissa. And he paid for it here, though. Like, he protected his life total, but pretty brutal to just lose your creature there. Don't know that it's going to do much else, but...
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about a matchup like this, too, where Nathan Stoyer really needs to be the aggressive entity here. Once he starts playing the defense game, you know that he's losing. So,
and he knows it, too. I mean, this game's over. Like,
at this point, he's kind of just playing it out.
Yeah,
but
he's just playing it out, maybe trying to get a little extra information from what Steve's got in his deck, if there's anything that he hasn't seen yet, or a new trick or a new toy that people are trying out here. Remember, Steve Rubin, he's one of the better players out on the Pro Tour. He's got a testing team. They very easily could have said, oh, well, let's try something a little different, and Nathan might have better information post-sideboard, but, like, he is very dead here. Tracker back to hand for Rubin off of the Liliana. You'll see this pretty commonly. And there's Ishkanah as well. Spiders go. And like you said, when Nathan's this far behind, it's just too difficult to come back. Like, even if he finds a land here, uses his Jace to flashback Collected Company, or just plays it out of his hand, it's just there's no combination of cards that are really going to get him enough time. Steve Rubin's still at a very comfortable 20. So game 1 goes to Rubin. You see a look of concern there from Stoyer, and you can see why. That did not go smoothly for him. And to be honest, he got pretty lucky, like, just to be in that game at all. So
yeah, he got very lucky. I mean, keeping that one lander on the play was a very risky move. And then, I think a lot of it, too, was just that his turn 2 land came into play tapped. I think that, Steve was able to really capitalize on that situation. So his first play of the game was on turn 3, and Steve was able to, use Grasp Darkness and Traverse the Ulvenwalds together to get the Spellqueller off the table and still get to search for the land, and she got out of hand quickly.
Indeed. Okay, let's jump over and see what Michelle Lee versus Andrew Brown. Andrew off of his second Pro Tour top 8 last weekend, riding the high, as it were.
We see, again, Nissa turning into a Sage Animist here.
Funny part about this matchup as well. So Michelle, she's actually from L.A., which is where Andrew's from. Michelle's originally from Toronto. But she's actually neighbors with Andrew. And Andrew lives with some Magic players as well. Part of the East-West Bowl team all live together down there. And she's their neighbor. And now they're playing each other at the GP. It's kind of funny.
In Andrew's first round, presumably.
Indeed.
Also, talk about Andrew. I mean, a year ago, I don't even know if I knew who Andrew Brown was, and now he's in the top 25 in the world.
Yeah, incredible stuff from Andrew. Really seems to have found his niche with Team East West Bowl. Both of his top 8s came with that team. But now he's got the neighbor fight. He's got to try to defeat Michelle here, who's certainly going to be keenly aware of his play style and probably his deck as well. So it looks like she's going to kick things off with an attack with an advocate and then follow up with an additional advocate. And
That Jace was on 8? Jeez.
Wow, and it looks like she attacked Jace and he took it. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, well, I didn't know what the Jace was on, but I thought he took it, and then it being at 8 previous to the attack was what was surprising to me.
Oh, no. Yeah, this is brutal for Michelle.
Oof.
So she kind of played into this, right? There was a declaration in stone in the graveyard, and she played a second copy of Sylvan Advocate and opened up Jace being able to flash that back. And Andrew says, look, you're going to get a couple of clues off it, but let's just set you back on tempo here and get rid of those. Maybe line up an attack here to try to get in at some of these Planeswalkers. Because if you look, Michelle's looking to be in a good position here with Liliana and a transformed, well, at least previously transformed Nissa.
And now it looks like Andrew is very much in the driver's seat. He's able to get both these Planeswalkers off the table. Michelle down to no board here, except a couple of clues. Oh, okay. Liliana still at 2. She must have shrunk the power in last turn. Also interesting that Michelle chose to wait to sacrifice those clues until Andrew's end step. I think that sometimes it's correct to sacrifice those clues when your opponent is attacking you, so you can look for instant speed removal spells, cards like Grasp of Darkness.
Which you found here.
Which she could have used to protect Nissa.
Okay. Well, let's jump over to our main match. It's starting. We'll keep you updated on Andrew Brown versus Michelle Lee there, but I want to see how Nathan and Steve Rubin wind up here for Game 2. Nathan really never able to get a strong handhold in that game, and Rubin kind of able to really deploy his game plan perfectly. And now we've got Nathan, though, on the play, and with a nice little 2-drop here to kick things off. He's got a Duskwatch Recruiter. He had a Duskwatch Recruiter. Down it goes.
Draft 22 to the blue gathering point. Draft 22 to the blue.
And that's nice that Steve Rubin was able to have the black and the grasp there, because passing the turn and letting Duskwatch Recruiter transform is often disastrous.
Little awkward here for Stoyer. His third land is unfortunately a tap land in the form of Evolving Wilds.
He didn't have any 2-drop.
And it looks like he didn't have a 2, yeah. Rubin's in a similar scenario. He's played an Evolving Wilds for his turn 3, but with an empty board, he's like, sure.
Yeah, empty board is good news for Steve and bad news for Nathan here.
Exactly.
Again, and Nathan, when we watch this matchup, the Bank Company versus Green-Black Delirium, Nathan really needs to be the aggressor if he wants a chance of winning. When we start seeing him play a defensive game, then that usually means that Steve is in a very good spot.
Okay, well, Stoyer has all of his colors available now.
Ooh, another tap land.
Wow, and no 3 either?
It could be Spell Queller.
Okay. He wants to leave up Spell Queller. That would make perfect sense here.
The issue, though, again, is that Steve is very happy to have an empty board. Like, he'd like to just pass into Spell Queller mana and
kind of force Nathan to make a decision on whether he wants to just cast the Spell Queller.
Yeah.
Which he probably should at that point, right? Like,
I think I would.
If your opponent's not going to give you a target for it, you may as well give him, yeah, it looks like that's exactly what happened here. So Spell Queller's just going to hit, so Nathan can start beating down. Yeah, looks like to the slaughter it may go. Indeed. Once again, Steve Rubin able to keep the board completely clear. Now, with 4 untapped mana, those and make it 5, Stoyer now has some really interesting instant speed stuff available to him in the form of probably Archangel Avacyn and for sure Collected Company.
Well, Nathan has, I believe, Tamiyo Field Researcher.
Ooh.
in hand.
I think that Rubin's passed the turn back, and that is going to prompt Nathan to fire off a collected company. No blue on the other side, so he knows it's resolving. It's just a matter of if Rubin can keep up with the tempo and the card advantage that it gains here by flashing in 2 creatures on end step. Okay, well, he's going to use Murder before Nathan's turn to take down Jace, because he knows that that can become a major issue, especially with the collected company in the graveyard.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a wise decision there from him.
Here's
Surprised
another nice
we didn't see the Tamiyo come down that turn.
one. Tracker, no land drop.
And it may just be because I want to see some field research in action.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Vessel of Nascency, there's a card that has gotten way better recently.
Oh, he had Negate available. That's what it was from Nathan. So he was planning out his turn where he could play 3 mana for the tracker and leave up Negate.
Oh, wow. Now this is a great Tamiyo.
Yeah, he negates the Languish, and now here it comes. This is what you wanted, Jake.
This is everything I wanted.
Boom.
Oof.
And now he's going to draw extra cards off of each of these. So he's going to draw 2 cards here. He used the +1 ability on his 2 creatures. You can target your opponent's creatures too, but obviously that's not relevant here. So he's going to target his own 2, draw a couple of cards, hit a land drop, get a clue. Woo. That's impressive.
That's really impressive. And now Steve, if he wants to, contain this board, he needs to use actual removal spells, because if he tries to just play creatures to gum things up to block, that's not going to work.
No.
Tamiyo's going to say, no. Those will not be blocking today. We did, however, see To the Slaughter out of Steve, which would be amazing in this spot if he has access to another copy.
Judge Nathan Milbank, please report to the pairings board just delivered to you.
So Steve is going to grab Liliana and play her, it looks like, off of this vessel.
This is interesting. He has some options. I mean, he can grab a creature out of his graveyard. I believe that play doesn't set him up too well. I think the problem is that Tamiyo, of course, can just tap down anything that comes from the other end, and that 4/5, which would normally be very good at blocking here.
Just going to get slapped away by Tamiyo's research journal here. Just
Nathan may choose to do it differently, though. I think that
it depends
there
what's
are
in his
definitely
hand.
a lot of different options here for him.
How about that one?
Yeah, that works fine.
All right. Reflector Mage. Which means that Liliana is about to get killed by a Spell Queller. And since he got to plus, again, it's anytime it does damage, combat damage.
Yeah, just getting further and further ahead here. Yeah, Steve not looking in a good spot at all here. I mean, I think he can cast Emrakul, though, right?
Yep. Confirmed Emrakul here from Steve Rubin. Trigger on the stack. Emrakul on the stack. Trigger resolves. Emrakul resolves. Now, he is way behind here, but this might be the way to come back.
I mean, he's at least going to be able to run one creature into the 13-13, just toss it in the bin.
Yes.
So Tireless Tracker won't be on the table anymore. I think it depends what's in Nathan's hand. I mean, he's got to be able to do some serious damage.
Holy smokes! Look at that hand. from Stoyer.
That's some pretty serious damage that he's capable of doing here, right? Because he can.
So one of these creatures gets to just attack into Emrakul like you described. So that one
Mhm.
he can just do. He can minus Tamiyo.
Yeah, and tap permanents.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and he's access to 7 mana here. There's a lot going on here that he could do. Wow, this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, so the -2 is tap up to 2 target non-land permanents. They don't untap during their controller's next untap step. So
Unfortunately, Reflector Mage can only target creatures an opponent controls, so
True.
he can't quite use that to his advantage.
I mean, we have seen people cast Reflector Mage on their own Emrakul before.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
Just
not their own, but you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, like just we've seen them do that.
I think that we're definitely going to see him use the Declaration.
Yes.
We may see him spell
Activate.
Queller, his own spell here.
That could happen. Also, there's Lumbering Falls. If he's worried about a Lumbering Falls, he can run that into Emrakul. It does severely crimp the mana that he has to try to use the other things in the hand. But you can see Rubin going through how to figure this out. This has become one of the interesting talking points for Standard as of the Pro Tour, which is, you know, playing Emrakul against your opponent is hard. It's really hard. I mean, we saw people like Steve and, you know, Owen and, you know, some of the best players with the most success of late really get stuck like this, where they're like, okay, I'm looking at your hand, I'm looking at my hand, I'm looking at the board, I'm looking at the next turn or two, I'm thinking about what you could draw, which means I have to have some knowledge about how your deck is composed and what's really bad for me and what I can cut you off from. And, you know, at some point it does start to whelm a bit.
Yeah, it's a lot going on here.
Looks like Steve has found his line, though.
And now, just forced to pass the turn back. Not the worst spot, though.
That wasn't great, you know, if you're sitting in Stoyer's seat, but it wasn't the worst. He could recover. He's at 18.
He could absolutely recover from this.
Yeah, we know how good Tamiyo is against Emrakul. You know, just keeping her locked down is a big deal.
Yeah, there aren't many cards that contain a creature that big. Tamiyo is one of them. Nathan just going to get in here with the Lumbering Falls. And what's nice about that is, I mean, he's got the win next turn now. He just needs to survive one more.
You can see how serious Nathan is. He usually has that look on his face. I've seen him at these GPs recently. Clearly somebody who's played a lot of Magic. You know, he's only 13. You know, he's young, but, like, you can play a lot, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we've got Reed Duke in the booth later. You know, he started when he was, like, 10.
He's been playing his whole life.
Yeah, it's just his whole life, you know.
It's so cool.
I'm sure Nathan started before that.
Probably.
I mean, with how good he is, he just kind of had to have. And Rubin's going to put Nathan in an awkward situation here where he's going to attack Tamiyo and force him to decide whether he wants to keep Tamiyo or his best attacker, Sylvan Advocate. Now, the thing is, if Steve is out of gas, that leaves Steve dead. But if Nathan says, yeah, I'll block it, then Steve actually has a chance because it means that he's not facing lethal. Unfortunately for Rubin, young Nathan Steuer passed that test, said, yep, you did it. You killed my my planeswalker. And that meant that he had preserved lethal attacks on the battlefield. And he takes game 2. Doesn't look that happy about it, but I think he's more concerned with his sideboard coming up.
We saw Tamiyo do great things there. That's something else we talked about before this round even started, that Tamiyo is a card that was present in the one of the undefeated lists at Grand Prix Rimini. And that's another Bant Company deck. And this is a card that didn't really have much time in the spotlight before the Pro Tour. At the Pro Tour, not many people played with it. It's a card that is obviously very strong.
Mm-hmm.
But now, on Magic Online this week, we've seen a few Bant Company decks that are taking advantage of Tamiyo Field Researcher. Over in Rimini, there's an undefeated 9-0 deck at the Grand Prix playing Tamiyo Field Researcher. And now here we are in round 4. Neither player has a loss to their name. And 13-year-old Nathan Stoyer showing us what this new Planeswalker is made of. It's kind of exciting. Seems that there's a gathering of Planeswalkers.
Yeah,
over here.
There's actually quite a few of them. There's a lot of cosplayers here in GP Portland, and I actually think that that Megan Wolf is over there, maybe doing a piece, a written piece for the website.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I know that
you guys should check that out later.
Yeah, she's been interviewing them, and they're all over here, kind of in the text writer area. So if you're into cosplay, I can see a Nahiri, I can see a Kiora. There's a Liliana. There's a Sorin over there, a Jace. So yeah, we've got there's a lot going on. If you're into that, there very well may be a piece up on Daily MTG for this tournament by Megan with the vibrant cosplay scene here in
Yeah,
Portland.
it's kind of cool how that's grown out of nothing also. Or a short while ago, that was something that didn't really happen at Magic tournaments, so now it's become a place. Ooh, is that Koth of the Hammer?
Yes, there is a Koth over there.
Oh, that's a cool one.
She is dressed up as Koth.
Yes.
Looks like Reed wandered over and found the Planeswalkers as well. He's like, hey, I'm also a powerful mage.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Talk to you about casting spells, increasing my loyalty.
All right, looks like our players are just about ready. Post sideboard to head into game 3. Gotta like Rubin here, right, on the play?
Oh, absolutely. I think this matchup is very good for Steve. One of the major reasons people brought Green-Black Delirium to the Pro Tour was because of how well it was positioned against these Bant Company decks. Of course, the Bant Company decks that they were practicing against didn't have Tamiyo.
Sure.
Still, I think that I don't think that changes things that much.
I think we have a quick mulligan from Nathan here.
Must have had no lands.
It's the only possible option. I believe Steve's kept, so. We shall see.
And we take a look at these full 75s. Greenback Delirium is an interesting deck for this weekend because, I think coming into this weekend, a lot of people might have been afraid to play that deck. It's a very mid-range deck. People are going very, very large in this format. Would you have wanted to play something like Green-Black Delirium in a world of Team or Emerge and things like that?
I think I like taking the Clash of Wills approach or the
I like that a lot.
that
Yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe a blue-black deck or I don't know. I don't want to lose to Emrakul all weekend. I'll put it that way.
I'll second that. I really liked LSV's column this week on Daily MTG where he talked about the big decks from the Pro Tour and rated them with 1 through 5 tentacles.
Very nice. All right, good start for both players, though. After that mulligan from Nathan, he's got a turn 2 Sylvan Advocate, one of his better threats. He is facing down Liliana, unfortunately, not attacking for a lot of damage here, though he's going to send a message. Send in there for 1.
Ooh, and this is really nice for Steve that he's getting an extra turn here.
Well, things are working quite nicely for Steve here, though. He has to be thinking that he's going to face down, a collected company or at least a spell queller.
I like how he pauses a bit when sacrificing the vessel, hoping that that's when Nathan's going to use the collected company so that he gets a big language the next turn. Like,
Pass priority. What did he get? A Gilt Leaf Winnower? Okay.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty nice for next turn. But he's going to have to kind of brace himself here because
Yeah, the thing about Gilt Leaf Winnower is, so when it enters the battlefield, it destroys something that is, power and toughness that aren't equal. But then it also has menace, so it can pressure planeswalkers in a really unique way. It costs 5 mana, so it can't get spell quellered.
And Steve Rubin now knows that he's very unlikely to get spell quellered here, and it's basically collected company or he's way ahead. Like if Nathan just does nothing, obviously that's fantastic for Rubin, but
I imagine it's very unlikely that that's going to happen.
well, the shields were down. I mean, Nathan still gets to wait till end step here, but he is very likely to have his Sylvan Advocate killed here. Though Rubin is looking at his hand and trying to decide, is it actually the best play to run out this Winnower? It very well may be.
I think a lot of people would be very quick and happy to use that Winnower there, and I think the fact that Steve is willing to really go through all of his options and think this through shows like his deliberate style of play and how he's always looking for the absolute best play possible.
He's actually passed the turn back here as well. All right, so there's that collected company that we were waiting for, and he's already hit one. Oh, did he? Oh, he did hit on the last card as well. All right, so he's got Sylvan Advocate and a Pacifist now. Oh, thank you. By the way, chat points out to us, Winnower is non-elf, and that is actually an elf.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I had forgotten that as well. Thank you, thanks guys for the
thank you
for
guys
the backup
for
there.
It's up there.
He has now a target for it. That he also doesn't kill, so the Winnower's looking a little awkward in his hand at the moment. I mean, look, it's still a fine creature, right? Like it's big, it has evasion, but
Deals with that pretty nicely.
there's one. We did it. Interestingly, too, he can combine the Liliana activation on a creature that has equal power and toughness to unequal it. It's, again, non-elf creature, but, if that does pop up. Weird stuff with the Winnower. It's a strange card.
Well, that's a good one.
Hey, that's even better. Wow. Rubin, that is nasty.
Yeah, Nathan, all of his mana's tapped, so it's not even like he can get back on the table here in an efficient way.
Nope.
So Liliana can do a lot of different things here. He may choose just to go upstairs with it. I mean,
He wants to get something back here. He's got some
I
targets.
like that too.
Yeah, I saw an Emrakul in there. There's also just a Sylvan Advocate if he wants that.
Just going to go with Big Poppy.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
He's probably getting close, right? He's probably at, I can't quite tell from the yard, but he's at, between 11 and 13 worth of mana for Emrakul if you include the 6 lands on the battlefield here. So,
Yeah, 1 or 2 more lands and he's there.
yeah. Looks like maybe he's laid out those top cards as the different ones for us, which would be really handy. Yeah, that's exactly what he did. So he's actually got 6 types right now.
So, yeah, once he gets the 7th land.
Yeah. He's going to go ahead and transgress for this turn, though. And that's going to prompt a collected company from young Nathan Stoyer here. And can he hit? Ugh. He really needs to find some sweet stuff here. Well, he did pretty well.
Pretty sweet
Yeah.
to exile that.
So he gets
transgress
to gobble up the transgress. That's right. And then he has one of his better late game threats, but man, it never stops from Rubin, does it? God, that's got to be tough. Stoyer he got back-to-back languished for value.
Yeah, and this languish, the fact that it's going to kill that spell queller, allow him to cast the Transgress the Mind. I think Nathan Stoyer's down to basically just Tamiyo in hand. Maybe one other card, and he's in a really rough spot now.
Yeah, that is going to make life very difficult for him.
No, he's got a little bit going for him.
Transgress is going to resolve now. Takes a spell queller away and passes. But as we mentioned, if Rubin has a land drop, boom, Emrakul time. Land off the top there, off the clue, I should say, from Stoyer.
This is last call.
Steuer trying to decide whether or not to just play Reflector Mage, I guess.
Closing for the 2 p.m. two-headed play.
God, with Rubin at 19, the games he's won have been real shutouts here. I mean, it's not, and, Nathan didn't do a ton in game 1, but in game 3 here, he has done a lot. And Rubin just seems to have had the answer at every corner. He doesn't hit his land here, or he does, but he wants to just go off with Evolving Wilds and be patient.
Yeah, the Evolving Wilds, the fact that the mana-producing land comes into play tapped means he's still just one turn away.
Yeah. And there's a Reflector Mage, but that is going to prompt a response here.
Doing that Reflector Mage, I think I know what it would like to do. It would like to run headfirst into a 13/13.
That's what Rubin's thinking. Another land off the top for him as well.
Although, I mean, decent opportunity to use the Winnower.
Local Blood Bank is offering up free on-demand events for players who donate blood to the local blood bank. Support a good cause and save a life by signing up for a blood donation right next to Arnold's Attic. That's right, you donate a bit of blood, you get a free on-demand event entry.
Yeah,
There it is. And you see Nathan, he just shakes his head. Ugh, so brutal for him. There's a Lumbering Falls down there for Nathan as well, which may be the best thing for Rubin to take care of here. And it's kind of funny because it feels like good news for Stoyer because he's not going to get completely destroyed here from what we can see. But the problem is that's because he doesn't have anything going on, and he's facing an Emrakul, and we know how quickly Emrakul can finish the game. And and this is what we mentioned earlier too, as well, Jake, is that Rubin is actually going to cast Reflector Mage for Stoyer and put Emrakul back in a hand. You go to 15, says Stoyer. Well, it looks like he's down to 14 after using a Pain land.
seems fine. I mean, he
just gets to regen.
Go for it again
here, yeah.
And if Nathan happens to draw a non-creature spell, something like Collected Company or Tamiyo, then Steve can actually cast it and negate it.
Mm.
Magic players, if you sign up for booster drafts number 26, please report to
Steve's still patiently moving his game plan forward here. Now he's just going to go for Tireless Tracker plus Guiltleaf Winnower, which finally a non-elf.
Yes.
Non-same. Yeah, we found one. And you can see Rubin just constricting ever closer on this game.
With 3 clues even.
Yeah. Yeah, he still has 3 clues just in case something goes awry.
Looks like Nathan may have Summary Dismissal in hand, though.
Okay. That'd help.
It's about as good as it gets when your opponent's casting Emrakul, but still don't even know if it's enough.
Okay, here's Emrakul again, and you're right, that was a Summary Dismissal, so class is dismissed. Emrakul, you can go home. Yes, She's also exiled. And the clues just keep flowing here for Rubin, who's now free to attack, even with his tireless tracker. He's got the 2 mana up, and of course plenty of clues to sacrifice for it. So Nathan is going to see this, and looks like just no blocks. He can take the hit, but not too many more of them. It's down to 12.
He's falling behind very, very fast.
Yeah, this is what Steve Rubin's been building up for. He's taken a patient tack to this game, and now you can see that he's significantly ahead on board and has 4 clues as backup. It's going to be very difficult for Stoyer to come back from this one. He may have to pick up his first loss here.
And that hissing quagmire, quite a bit larger, thanks to Sylvan Advocate here.
Yeah, I think Steve's just going for the win here. Like, I think he senses that Nathan's pretty much out of gas, and if he can find a removal spell to point at the Reflector Mage, he can just attack for lethal. Though it looks like he may have failed to find that removal spell. He's got a hissing quagmire, though. And he's going to jam with the team, and that's going to do it here. Steve Rubin defeats Nathan. And Nathan's going to have to settle for a 3-1 start to his GP, but we'll be seeing him again if he can keep up the wins for sure. He's a nice kid, too.
Cool deck also.
Yeah.
I really like the inclusion of Tamiyo in these Bank Company decks. Seems to give them the longevity they need to overcome a lot of the things that are good against them, while also providing them a way to deal with Emrakul in the later stages of the game.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's jump back over and see how this match between Michelle Lee and Andrew Brown is shaping up. We mentioned earlier that they are neighbors in the Los Angeles area, so they will have maybe seen each other at local tournaments, or maybe even tested with each other for various events.
And if you want to get better at Magic, one of the best things you can do is surround yourself with good Magic players.
Indeed.
So, being around East-West Bowl all the time, I'm sure that's going to have a positive effect on your gameplay. And it goes both ways.
Speaking of gameplay, what a mess. Look at this board state.
It's disgusting.
It's just a mess. Interesting. It does look like Andrews decided to start attacking here. He just wants to get some cards going, or what?
He's got to work his way through the spiders eventually, right?
Yeah, and I think what he's probably done here, we came just at the wrong time, but I think he's plus Tamiyo on these 2 Sylvan Advocates, maybe. Yeah, that's exactly what he did. And he just said, okay, let's trade some stuff, whatever. However you decide to block or not, I'm going to get cards. And he does. He peels 2 cards off the top of his library. And frankly, in a situation like this, it just makes great sense, right? Just get in. You figure it out. If I end up trading for a spider for something, you live with it. But you just start pulling ahead on cards so quickly, and you've got a Planeswalker ticking upwards as well.
One of the things that's really cool about it, too, is that the 2 creatures he chose to attack with were both Sylvan Advocates.
Uh-huh.
So he's kind of baiting Michelle into blocking in such a way that both of his Sylvan Advocates die. So he's still drawing cards off of those. But that Michelle has 2 Sylvan Advocates of her own. And if she actually takes the bait and gets both of them off the table, then Andrew Brown can use a card like Declaration in Stone and get rid of both of her Sylvan Advocates without really affecting his own board at all.
He drew that Declaration in Stone here and might start crafting that plan. Interestingly, from Michelle Lee's standpoint, one of the things that she does have going on here is Liliana. And we have seen Liliana Ultimate multiple times at the Pro Tour, and maybe she's got a chance to start plussing Liliana here and threatening an Ultimate with a pretty well-developed board here. I mean, look at all those creatures that Michelle has accumulated here. It's a lot of blocking, to try to protect a Planeswalker.
Ishkanah Graph Widow, again, tearing Bank Company to pieces.
It looks like she's going to punch back here as well. You know what's interesting? So it looks like Andrew's going to line up a block with that Sylvan Advocate that was originally targeted by Tamiyo. And Tamiyo reads, until your next turn, whenever either of those creatures deals combat damage, you draw a card.
Yeah, so he's drawing another card
So
here.
he should get another card off of it. Which is kind of insane, considering that it just straight up blocked that and had no, really no downside for him there. Like, that could cost Michelle here. She didn't get a ton of damage in. She's got grasp for Nissa here just to, try to keep the Planeswalker from going nuts. And she's got a third Sylvan Advocate now. Yikes. Now we're going to see Declaration in stone, I would assume. Whoop. Brutal. Now she's up to 5 clues.
That's a lot of investigating.
It is, but she's going to need to get on that investigation trail here because her board state is actually starting to dwindle a bit here.
Meanwhile, Andrew's side of the table just swelling.
Yeah. If Andrew can flash back that Declaration next turn and take out the spiders, he will have killed 3 creatures on the opposing side on back-to-back turns, and that just turns that really clogged up game state into all of a sudden clean lines of attack all over the place for Brown potentially.
25 players, modern battle players. Pairings are game.
This tireless tracker getting real big.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle really needs here is Emrakul. Just to
What about
set things
Languish?
for their death. Languish is pretty nice.
She's got Languish in her hand.
Oh,
Now-
wow.
Now, Andrew, though, I believe has a Spell Queller in his hand, which is pretty brutal for Michelle. She really doesn't want to, she'd much rather try to get something down. Does she have anything that she can play to try to convince Andrew to play a Spell Queller first? Because it would be so savage. Oh, she has a Nissa. Oh, she runs out the Nissa and he Spell Quellers it, and then she languishes. Oh, my goodness.
And, I mean, he's likely going to Spell Queller Nissa.
I think
It's
he
a pretty
kind of...
powerful card.
Yeah, but she may have made a mistake here by playing that land first from her hand.
I agree.
Because now if she goes for that play and Andrew says, well, you've already played a land, it's not a Planeswalker yet, he may just let that happen. Where if she puts it on the stack and hasn't played a land yet, oh, she found Emrakul there from the Nissa. It must have had one in the graveyard. Well, maybe that's just playing Emrakul as her line the whole time anyway, and she just needed the land for that.
Doesn't seem bad.
Interesting spot here for Michelle. It's very touchy.
And this is very good, especially with these Planeswalkers on the other side of the table.
Okay, Spell Queller's going to hit the battlefield for Brown. He wanted to have control over that, make sure it hit, and now Michelle is in the enviable/unenviable position of having to figure all this out. Some of it's easy, right? Like Jace minus, forgot to flash back your spell. That part's easy.
Yeah, or Jace minus Declaration in Stone.
There you go. Get rid of your 3 Reflector Mages.
Yeah, or a pair of Spell Callers.
Pair of Spell Quellers. There you go. That works too. It's again though. It's such do you really want to give your opponent 2 or 3 clues? Yes, but that's a tough call, right? If you feel like you can manage the board as it sits, then you don't. But that is very tempting. You can see why Michelle did that. Now, she can -2 Tamiyo to lock down a couple of creatures, maybe the 2 Spell Quellers.
Seems to make the most sense. Those clues, not overly relevant because of the Duskwatch Recruiter in play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a redundant ability.
You're saying he already has a steady stream of card draw.
If he wants that steady stream of card draw, he already has access to it. So
Fair.
I feel like it's
I mean, it's going to
pretty
die.
good. Oh, yeah.
So, on the board very temporarily here. Good God, that was disgusting. Look at this turn.
So good.
I mean, the 3 clues were a little bit annoying from Michelle's side, but she literally just wiped his whole board of every creature he had. Say hi to Emrakul, everybody. He left him with 2 lands in hand. Unbelievable.
I, for one, welcome our new Octopus Overlords.
Well, I think Andrew may disagree with you, as he's chosen not to play Emrakul in the tournament and just got destroyed by Michelle and Emrakul. So Tamiyo's going to take one for the team here, lock down Emrakul and that massive Tireless Tracker for a turn cycle.
Michelle's still at 20 here? That's correct.
There it is, 20 life.
Yeah. Now she gets to start pecking away at Andrew.
Well, Andrew did find another copy of Spell Queller here. He's going to gobble up one of the spiders.
What did that spider ever do to him?
Yeah, well, he squashed
Yeah.
it. He's down to 7, though, and Michelle is looking to be in very good shape here to equalize and force a game 3 here in the 4th round of action at Portland. And she even still has that Nissa that she now is going to play her land. Yeah, her plan has really come together here. It revolved around Emrakul last turn. That was the big swing. Not a whole lot Andrew can do here. Michelle found a languish off of a clue there. She's going to keep chipping away at this pile of clues that she's developed.
I mean, another attack here is basically it. And Andrew was able to, stem the bleeding for a little while by using Tamiyo's minus ability, targeting the massive Tireless Tracker and the Emrakul on the other side of the table. But now, of course, facing off against this massive board. There are tons of spiders over there on the other side.
She even found a deadweight. Whoop. That's going to kill that thanks to Liliana. So no board once again, and I'm assuming that that's extra turns there. Have you noticed that Andrew's been ticking up that die on the top?
Yeah, so I guess if she doesn't win
This
on
is
the
turn 3?
very next turn.
Yeah, the key here, Andrew, is trying to maintain his lead, because if this game draws, then Andrew's the one who wins as he's up a game. And Michelle is fighting to equalize and force a draw, which is, of course, not what either player particularly wants, but it's certainly in Michelle's best interest to try her hardest to win this game, and it's got to be now. And I think she's got it. She just drew a Grasp of Darkness, so she can take out the Reflector Mage and attack for lethal here pretty easily. Yeah, down goes Reflector Mage. Yeah, so Andrew would have to deal with both the Tireless Tracker and Ashaya plus some number of the other creatures. And that is going to be incredibly difficult for him with only the 4 mana. Now, if he does have a Collected Company in his hand, he could company into a couple of Reflector Mages, but he doesn't have it. And Michelle Lee is going to take game 2, and that means that this match is going to be forced into a draw.
Nobody's happy about that this early in the tournament, but it's just how it goes sometimes.
It is. The matchup is very, very grindy, as we say. Okay. All right, so, and we are in turns here as well, of course, in our last match, which is Seth Manfield versus Kristen Fagan. And we've got Bant Coco versus Bant Coco, so it's no no huge shock that they've gone to extra turns as well here, as once again this matchup can be quite grindy.
Interesting stuff. Again, last weekend at the Pro Tour, not much Bant Company out there. There were a lot of other decks that showed up, really kind of changed the metagame a lot, and here we are this weekend. And again, I think a lot of people still have a lot of faith in this Bant Company deck.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking we were going to see at the Pro Tour, and I was like super happy that it didn't end up being like that, because these matchups are, man, they grind. You know, they just chip away at each other.
Spellqueller, very good in the mirror. Collected Company, still the best card, though.
It does come down to Collected Company a lot of the time, doesn't it? And what you hit off of it.
Yeah.
We've seen some of the lists really push towards that card as well. Not just being built around it in the sense of like, oh, I've got enough creatures. Like, all creatures, Collected Company. Who needs Dromoka's Command anyway? Deck.
Yeah, people are, going 5-0 in competitive standard leagues playing decks like that are just 30 creatures, 4 Collected Companies, and 26 lands.
So I'm guessing that die down on the bottom is turn 2. You see that one? We'll have a mighty clash happening.
Yeah, Tamiyo, while quite good against a lot of different decks when you put it in these Bant Coco decks, not very exciting in this mirror match.
Oh, it's not that good in the mirror?
I think the presence of instant speed cards like Collected Company and Spellqueller really just make it a pretty dangerous play.
Seth looks like has won against Christian here. It's hard to say. I mean, clearly Seth was ahead on life totals and was making a big attack, and Christian Fagan was just like, this is all I got, man. And it looks like Seth is the one who's going to win this. 2-1, so he's going to stay undefeated. He just came off of his buys and faces down Christian here in his first round off of buys, and he's going to pick it up. That's going to do it for round 4 here from Portland.